Yo, this is Rick Mahorn, the bad boy, giving a shout out to my man Drew, Detroit Drew. Make sure you tune in on his YouTube channel, Detroit Drew. Bad boy.
You ready?
Hey peeps, how's it going? And before we hop into our first real look at what I'm looking at in free agency, I want to say thank you guys, because as I'm going through and looking at free agency, I also went back in time. And I'm looking back about a year ago when my channel really started to take off. And these type of videos is what really helped grew my channel. Plus, when you have a young prospect like Sekou that a lot of people are high on, that helps. And when you have a free agent signing like Derrick Rose, it helps. And not to brag, but I technically called the Derrick Rose signing. Technically did. Don't want to brag, but hey, I did what I do my best. So we're gonna start with what I feel like is gonna be the most important group of free agents that the Detroit Pistons have to consider signing. I'm not saying that I fully want to go out there and throw all of our money at him, but looking at what we have, center is a position that we desperately need, and looking at the draft, I don't think we're going to go that route. So I think that when we make our splash, if there is a huge splash in free agency, that this is what we are going to look at and kind of throw our money at after we re-sign Christian Wood, of course. And he's not on the list. You can technically throw him on the list, but people consider him a power forward. So I'm not going to throw him on any of these lists, even though I'm going to say this probably in every video that I do, that Christian Wood's our top priority over anything. So just know that. But without further ado, here are Detroit Drew's four main, or I should say Detroit Drew's top four centers, and it's top four because there's not a whole lot of good ones. These are not ranked. I'm not ranking one better than the other one. I will be happy with really any of these signings or content. So let's start off with probably a wild card, and that's Marc Gasol. Obviously, he doesn't fit the fast pace or up-tempo that I want to see Detroit do, but he would be a legitimate person you can give the ball to and go get buckets. Didn't particularly play all that great in Toronto. Didn't play bad by any stretch of the imagination. Doesn't have that player option. He opted into it. I believe he would be an unrestricted one. And I had to double check that because one of these ones is a restricted free agent, one of them's not. He might be, or he might have a player option. I'm not sure. Either way, he'd be a really good piece for the Detroit Pistons. We need scoring. He's a pretty solid defender. He's not as good as he used to be, but he's a pretty good rim protector. He'll play well, and I think that this gives the Detroit Pistons an option. Obviously, I'm pulling for the Christian Wood, Blake Griffin duo. If none of those players don't get re-signed or traded, I think that should be our 4 and our 5, because offensively that's really tough. But Marc Gasol is a player that can come in, and rather if that's a game you want to rest Blake Griffin or have Christian Wood come off the bench, like let's play Embiid. You can bring in Marc Gasol and he'll guard Embiid. You know, that's a mismatch for either Blake or Christian Wood. So I think that he'll bring this kind of versatility and depth that the Pistons are looking for. Plus, like I said, he's a great offensive player. He's done a really good job of improving and shooting the three. Great post player, great passer. Not a whole lot wrong with him. He's just older, and he might be looking for a lot of money. So there is that. Next up is a guy a lot of people wanted to trade Blake Griffin for, and really had a nice year in Portland, and that's Hassan Whiteside. We all know that this guy's one of the better shot blockers in the league. And again, he's a player that we can bring in for depth purposes and for defensive purposes, because Lord knows the Pistons need to get better defensively. And Hassan Whiteside could be a guy who comes in and helps change that and help implement that, and can make our guards play a little bit more aggressive, because we just don't have any of that rim protector right now. Everyone's on an island right now, and everyone's got to do well individually, we don't have a good team defense. And Hassan Whiteside would be a guy come in and could almost change that instantaneously. Plus, he's done a great job offensively this year. Not a whole lot of people were expecting that much of him in Portland, but he played really well. And it helps when you have a great guard combination like Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum. That will make any big fella's job way easier. So coming in right now without knowing who we're going to get in point guard free agency or through the draft, he's not going to have as many good looks offensively right now without knowing who our point guard is. And that could change depending on who we get. So we have to stay tuned for that. But I think that if the Pistons went after him, they won't depend on his offensive game. They're going to want him to come in here and rim protect. And quite frankly, when you have a team that is kind of a question mark, you want to get players, and you want to get players who have an established role, and it's something that he does best. He's been one of the best rim protectors in the league for the last, 4 years now, it seems like. So I'd love this pickup. I just don't want to throw him a ton of money. But you gotta give him what the market value is worth. Again, I don't know how many numbers he's looking at that he wants. I don't know what anyone wants, but we have enough money to go ahead and sign him if we wanted to. I don't think it'll be a long-term deal. I don't think any of these guys that we'll talk about will be a long-term deal, because I didn't say about Marc Gasol. My fault. These will probably be a 1 to 2 year deal between any of them. So I'm not expecting them to get a long-term deal. So they might throw more money at any of these guys. I'm not talking about the contracts. I'm just talking about what I like, what I don't like. I do not remember if I had Dwight Howard on my list last year or not. I can't remember. I'll have to go back in time and watch it. But Dwight Howard had a nice comeback year. Again, played for a great team. And then when you have great players like that, it makes your job easier. But a lot of people wrote Dwight Howard off as done and not to play the NBA. His style didn't work anymore, and he proved a lot of people wrong. LA had a really nice team this year, and quite frankly, I'm looking forward to them in the playoffs. They're going to be fun to watch still. Even though I'm not a Brown fan, their team's really good, and Dwight Howard was a nice part of it. And part of it was he accepted his role. We're seeing a more mature Dwight. Through years prior, he seemed like kind of a drama queen and always fighting with his teammates. First it was first it was Stan Van Gundy, then it was Kobe, and then, eventually him and James Harden parted ways, and, after that, just never fit in anywhere. But now I think he's more mature. The second coming of his Lakers run really did well for him, and I think that the Lakers are going to go ahead and re-sign him. But if they don't, I would love Dwight Howard, because again, he brings that defensive mentality. He's been one of the greatest shot blockers, maybe not in all of NBA history, but in his prime was nasty and damn good at it. And he is still damn good at it. Not as good as he once was, but at his age and what we would be asking of him, he would fit it perfectly. He's still really athletic, probably in the greatest shape of his life. He is shredded. He is dedicated to making his career re-successful, and I think he wants to win. And what better way to come and win, not the way the Lakers have. So if they win an NBA championship, he might split and go get the money, which we would pay him, and really take a leadership role and really fit in with what we're trying to do. I would love this pickup, a very good big to have in the pick and roll. He's still working on his jump shot. It's getting better, but we're not going to sign a guy like Dwight Howard and ask him to come in and shoot a ton of threes. We're having him come in here to do what we are lacking without Andre Drummond, and that's grab rebounds and block some shots. JaVale McGee. I said that last year. I love doing that. Every time JaVale's a free agent, I'm going to want him because he's a Flint boy. He's where I'm from. So I would love to have JaVale McGee. Plus, I just think this guy keeps getting better and better. I should say more efficient. His earlier stages in his career are behind him, where he was a goofball. He still makes occasional mistakes every once in a while, but also like Dwight, he's matured, and he is a fantastic shot blocker. I hate playing against him because he always has at least 4 to 5 blocks against us, it seems like, and just changes the tempo of the game. We need that. That's why I have him and Dwight here last, because they have similar rules. Both great shot blockers, both great rebounders, and, JaVale has been a great role player for great teams. We go back to the Warriors, where he just did his job, blocked shots, set screens, got rebounds, and let KD, Steph, and Clay go do their thing. Here, he'd probably have a little bit more of an extended role because we don't have those caliber of players. But, you know, I think he'd be a great 1-2 punch for whatever we have defensively. You know, I think Christian was going to be a pretty solid defender, and I think a year with a guy like JaVale McGee would help him. You know, he's going to have a good defender in Sekou to help him out with on the wing, so there's a lot of promise and potential. Again, he's not going to be a guy good enough to make us a title contender, but he'll be a solid guy to have in the playoffs if we are a playoff team, especially if we have to go against someone like Milwaukee again, where they get to the paint a lot. You're going to want that rim protector, so all of these guys are pretty solid at defense, so that's why they're on my list. So there are my 4 centers that I personally want. My goal for these videos is to do 5 players per position, but outside of that, there's not too many people that are going to be worthwhile. There'll be some guys that will be good for depth, like Bismack Biyombo's a free agent. I wouldn't be disappointed in that. There's a couple of guys like that caliber, like Jacob Portel, however you pronounce it, would be a good signing, but these are really the cream of the crop in free agency for the center position. And I think that we might not sign any of these guys, but I guarantee you that we will have an interview with almost every single one of them, because we need to. We absolutely need to. And I am not opposed to bringing up Dante Hall and having him be the backup center. I am not opposed to drafting a center if we trade back and get an extra pick. I'm not opposed to any of it. Right now, get the best team you possibly can and go out there and compete. And that's what I'm going to do at the end of the day, is go out there, get the best talent available, get the best team available, and really contribute that way. So, I don't know, guys. Let me know if I missed anybody that you guys want to see. Obviously, I didn't have Andre Drummond on the list because it ain't happening. No matter if I wanted to or not. Doesn't matter if you wanted to or not. It ain't happening. So, leave that one out of the comment section. I don't care if you do or not, but leave it down in the comments, man. Let me know who you guys want, who you don't want, who is an underrated signing at center that you guys think that would be a really good game changer. Giles is a name that we talked about earlier, although I think he's more of a power forward if I'm not mistaken, so I'll have to address that one later on. That looks like where the Pistons are going that way, but probably the next top 5 categories you guys are going to see from Troy Drew will be small forward, because that's another position that we desperately need. And I think that will be the least aggressive in shooting guard and power forwards, because that's what we got the most of. So stay tuned for all that. Instagram, Twitter, DSA members, DSA website, all in the description. Above the Rim on JMO's channel this Saturday at 7 p.m. Be there or be square. And that's the bottom line, because Detroit Drew said so. See you guys tomorrow, man. Peace.